What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keith and Mike. Keith and Mike?
Moik?
Keith and Ike.
Yeah.
Keith and Ike do Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Today we are talking about Season 7, Episode 14, Chimera. Lots to talk about.
And already it's an explicit episode. I'm going to have to put a ranking.
I mean, for sure. It's a Friday. It's the end of a long week, but I'm excited to spend some time with our friends on Deep Space Nine, talking about this very interesting episode. Mike, how are you doing? Other than your matching hats, we're hats
rocking
today.
Good. A crazy week. All kinds of homeowner things. Which I was texting Keith, but I basically, I've never had a house before. And I had to have some work done, and they were going up in the attic, and they were doing some stuff in the attic, and they were basically like, after we do this insulation thing, you can't really go in the attic anymore, really, because you don't want to defluff the blow-in.
You don't want to defluff. Once you fluffed, you want it to stay fluffed.
So I had like a list of things I wanted to do in the attic before the fluffing, and I hadn't really had time to research how to do most of those things.
Well, why? That would never stop us.
So I just kind of, having the hard out, they were coming at 11 a.m. and so I just did the stuff. So I'm proud to have done that. Ellie's back from Starfleet. She went to Doggy Starfleet.
That's exciting.
She's doing great. She knows a whole bunch of commands, and she's rocking and rolling over there. She's been really great. Jen's out of town doing, believe it or not, Fiddler on the Roof. And so we're holding it together.
I would just because I want to dig into what Mike did in the attic, and that is string Ethernet cable into not every floor of your house, but every major room in your house. Is that right?
Well, I mean, there's only 3 floors. So the 2 closets upstairs, so I could run wall jacks into the bedrooms. And then the basement, I hardwired the basement, which was we using Mocha before, but now it is hardwired. My office is hardwired. The living room is hardwired. Everything's hardwired. Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, every room, Keith. I
mean, which I have to say, there are 2 things that war in my head. One is, other than your basement and your the rig we're using for this, which definitely needs to be hardwired.
Yeah.
Hardwiring your guest bedroom just in case Jen wants to watch a Hallmark movie on Netflix. It's
also Jen's office.
Wireless is unacceptable.
It's Jen's office. She's got a mini PC in there. I may put an Xbox in there. Future-proof, baby. Future-proof. When I sell the house, now I can say Ethernet wired.
I like you're future-proofing. You realize Ethernet is like the VHS of, it's like, I'm future-proofed. I've got a VCR.
I guess what? As someone who owns, oh man, this podcast is already off the rails. As someone who owns Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7 access points, you want to be hardwired.
Well, yes, I do, and you do. But most
it's my
humans, understand. And like I said, your basement, very important. Your bedroom, I mean, if there's a slight delay when that video loads, I mean, although you'll survive. You fluffed.
I did fluff. So, last side story of how I'm doing, and then we'll jump in, because this one's funny. So, the only carpet we didn't change when we bought the house was the basement, because it's Berber carpet and it's just a pain in the butt. It was already expensive to recarpet the rest of the house, so we didn't want to carpet the basement. It looked pretty good. We had Stanley Steamer come and Stanley steam it. But the litter boxes are down here and the animals are down here, and so it's already if I don't keep up on the vacuuming and the air purifiers and stuff, a funk can develop.
Yeah, it's a basement. There's animals. I understand. There's a funk down here sometimes.
So Jen is obsessed. Jen believes that one of the animals peed somewhere. Now, I'm not sure that they have, but every once in a while I spot clean it with the little vacuum cleaner. There's only so much you can do, right? But she's obsessed. She wants to find the pee. So what shows up at my house yesterday is
a black light?
A black light.
Yeah,
and she's like, run it down there and find out where the pee is. To which I said, oh, hell no. I spend all of my time down there. I don't want to know what is going to show up with the black light down here. I don't want to know.
We don't want to look under your desk. It looks like a ghost has been murdered.
I'm saying if you want a black light for pee down here and know how nasty this carpet is, because if I did it, you know what I'd be doing tomorrow, Keith?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be
Vinyl
replacing the
flooring
carpet.
this book.
Yeah, but here's the. But they do make, and I say this as an experienced pet owner / basement owner. There's some good enzymatic sprays that is specifically designed for that.
Yeah, and Home Depot
which
will
does
sell
a really good job.
Home Depot for $30 for the day. You can rent one of those industrial strength carpet vacuumer. So we could clean it. I just don't want to know.
You don't want to know. I understand. But look, we're in a time where our mental health is really dependent on whether or not we're able to wall off the things we don't want to know that day.
I turned on the news this morning. I was like, nope.
Nope, 100%. So, there you go. I say this: the spray works very well because the question is, did the cat pee down here? The answer is yes.
Oh yeah, and the dog. I'm sure. I'm sure everybody's peed down here. I probably have.
I mean, who hasn't? I mean, once you get to a certain age, you're like a rat.
Speaking of the news,
where is this going?
Well, I'm speaking of the radical left. Did you see our latest comment? We got a comment from somebody who I guess
just now.
No. It was like a couple days ago. We always call out my favorite trolls. We got a great one because apparently we are godless heathens, and just wanted to
no
acknowledge.
Doubt. We had multos. Although one of them I have communicated with and seems like a nice folk and has learned to live with us. So I appreciate that. We had a good dialogue. The other one wasn't as much of a fan, but that's okay.
You know what? Neither am I.
well, that's true. I'm not a fan of you. I'm not a fan of me.
No.
I'm not a fan of Mike. I'm not a fan of anything that we're doing here. But short answer to people the people who might call us leftists with the woke mind virus. Yup. Ask me if I give a crap. So there you go. Anyway, let us talk about last week's episode, very unfortunately titled This Week.
Come on, Button.
You can do it.
Well, go ahead.
So here are the patrons' comments from last week's episode, Field of Fire. So, if you would like to have me read your comment, all you have to do is join our Patreon at patreon.com/K&M. Spell out that and then you get to hang out with us. And actually, Mike, we should have a production meeting, maybe here live on air.
Okay.
Because we set up.
The viewers have spoken.
The viewers have spoken on what our next live event should be by the end of September, because we promised. And guess what? They want to see them whales.
I was going to do whale song, but then I realized I don't know how to do it. So I just made that sound.
Dead as hell.
Yep.
Why does anybody watch?
You know what? That is something that all sides of the political spectrum can equally
really
stand together
unifying.
and think is stupid and waste of their time. So we're gonna save them whales.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, maybe we should. Do you have a night next week we can do it?
Yeah. Actually, next week's pretty good for me. So, I guess I'll pull up the calendar. Should we just do this thing?
Yeah. I mean, hey, what the hell? We're here live. I mean, I could do like a Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe.
Well, Jen's working a party Tuesday. Evenings are
Jen's
Wednesday would be
working
great.
a party. That's perfect.
Wednesday would be great. Yeah. The 17th.
All right. Wednesday the 17th. Maybe at like 6:37 Eastern.
Let's say 7, so people can have
Eastern,
their dinner.
Everybody get their dinners.
Yeah.
For those of us on the East Coast.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Okay. So there it is. Wednesday the 17th at 7 p.m. We will be live here watching with you guys, where you can comment along, and we have
That's
a little.
wrong. We will not be on YouTube. It won't
Not
be
on
here.
YouTube.
It will be on Patreon. So
I meant the royal here, like the internet.
okay.
We'll be on the internet, and you can watch live with us, chat with us. We always have a really good time. Everybody brings snacks. And
The stream will break like 6 times, but we're gonna roll.
We're gonna break the. But that's our brand.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're gonna see if we can save them whales.
We're
That's really the question.
The 65-year-old man going to the urologist. Broken stream, Keith. Frequently.
You know what sound he makes? Anyway.
All right, we'll see you next.
That's right.
All right, what are our comments from last week?
Okay, here's what you have to say about Field of Fire. Joshua Cronin says, again, new character trying to get more explore Esri episodes. Agree with you though, we're getting fatigued. Fun concept of a story though, I do appreciate that. But after this, we're back on to the others, so buckle up soon, Mike. 67 self-sealing stem bolts for me.
I'm buckled, baby.
Yeah. Brian from Video Game Drive-By says, hey guys.
Hey.
That 15-minute discussion had me rolling and trying my damnedest not to wake Mrs. Drive-By. You were funnier in 15 minutes than the last 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine combined. You know what? I will take. I believe that was our discussion of angling the dangle on stage. But I have to say, Brian, much appreciated. That is damn faint praise.
Yeah.
Funnier than the last 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine, which I don't believe either one of them were comedy episodes.
No, but that said, I did place that on, I put that on my resume.
Mm-hmm.
Funnier than these specific episodes. Some have said.
But, you know, so much funnier than Siege of AR-558. Really. Anyway, as for the deep cut joke right there. As for this episode, it's a guilty pleasure of mine because I love me some cheesy murder mystery stories. The more hack slop, the better. You know what? You might enjoy Keith and Jill Halloween. We watch our terrible movies. We are working our way through Silent Night, Deadly Night series, all 5 of them.
Keith and Jillian sounds like a great Patreon exclusive, but what it would take to get Jillian on a stream is maybe just her voice.
No,
Yeah,
it would be Jillian and Keith the Deadoween, and there would be no stream.
Well, Keith Sween has been dead since a decade ago.
You know what? Who's to know? No one's tried to fluff it in a very long time. Anyway, I apologize, everybody. It's like I said, it's a Friday. It's late.
Wait, Keith, stop everything.
What?
I got so in the weeds about my attic when you asked for my update. I didn't tell you about something awesome I did yesterday.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
I went to see Drag Hocus Pocus live.
Oh, that's fun. Where did you see that?
At the Keswick Theater. It's on tour with like a couple of queens from RuPaul's Drag Race.
I got a press release about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the crowd was having a blast.
So are they, is it sort of like Rocky Horror where they're sort of like,
No.
or are they performing
No.
the movie?
It is, I was very, I had no idea what I was getting into going in. I just,
The title, you had you at the title. That's all you needed.
Yeah, I love Hocus Pocus. I like drag. I haven't been to a drag show in quite a while. I feel like it's a good time to be supporting the arts.
I haven't been to one since before the end times.
And it's in Glenside, PA, which is like a really cute little town. So I went with my buddy Matt and his husband, and it was pretty cheap. It was like $40. And I will say this, I have had a not a great track record with scripted drag. Generally, I like a more like improvisational, like all hell breaks loose chaos, because queens generally are very, very funny, and I love to see people run amok. Anyway,
Quick on their feet. Yeah.
this was very scripted. I thought it was going to be a little more loose, and it's the idea is that they're going through the beats of the movie, playing the three sisters, but then there are like built-in moments that are like improvisational, and they're singing live, but not the songs from the movie. It's like redone, like Weird Al lyrics to present day songs. So the concept, for the most part, it was less spontaneous than I would have liked. But that said, it was still very uproarious, and the audience was having a great time. A lot of people came out. It was really awesome, and yeah. So if it's it is on tour. So if it comes to a city near you, and you can get tickets for like $20-$40, you should go.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, it's you here for Star Trek and drag review. That's what we do here.
The Venn diagram is awesome.
I mean, look, if you're on board with both of those things,
You're
we
probably
friends.
friends, yeah.
We're definitely friends. All right, so
Except for that one commentator last week, probably doesn't love that.
there are several who don't like it, but guess how much I care.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brian from Video Game Drive-By, who began his comment, I believe, in like 1998, says, I would love a series of criminal investigations set in the Trek universe. Bonus points if it's Esri. Look, if it has DeBurr, I automatically give it bonus points. I know my weaknesses and own them. Yeah, well, look, speaking of Halloween theme, Keith and Jilloween, Nicole DeBurr has done several classic horror movies.
You always defer to DeBurr.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, both of the Daxes have done important. I'm trying to. I was looking at one just recently that I was like, oh, I got to add that. She did Cube, obviously, which we talked about a little bit before. But there was another one back in like 85 or 92, something like that. I don't know, whatever. Oh, she's the lead in Prom Night 4. So I haven't been able to get my hand on a copy of it, but folks, go see Nicole DeBurr in Prom Night 4, 1991. So there you go. Kurtzman, green light, Star Trek, Murder She Wormed immediately. Oh my God, that is fantastic.
Well done.
Oh, I love that, because with Dax, you've got Jessica Fletcher, you've got everybody, and Dexter's in there, you got everything you need. Also, the gun idea is neat. The Borg definitely wouldn't stand a chance against it. 70 stem bolts. Hibernation Pod says, damn, I really love your guys' colorful dungeon lighting. We have a bit of an arms race in the weird dungeon lighting and all other technology in our homes. I listen to very few podcasts, and they are usually rewatch ones like this. I engage with a couple of them too. I was a lousy baseball player and catcher, and my two big worries were being bopped in the teeth or in the peenie pop. Yeah, both of those, very upsetting.
There's only a few reasons that make me sad that we aren't giant on YouTube, Keith. For the most part, actually kind of happy with where we are, because we don't have to do any
more than this would be bad.
But the huge shows have like super fans who create these like Reddits and Discords and like track all of the things and the reviews and all kinds of spreadsheets stuff you like. But what I really feel like we're missing, and it's a shame we haven't done it, is a collation of all the stupid terms that I have ideated.
That's
Peenie
true.
Pop being one of them. Peenie Pop, Boot Shiv, Pip and Pop, stupid things like that are stupid enough in isolation, but were there an archive of all of them comprehensively, I really feel like I could die an accomplished man.
So sort of like, instead of an urban dictionary, it's an idiot dictionary?
Yeah, sort of that.
Wow. The lexicon of Mike. That's just a very sad place.
Scary attic. I don't recommend you go up there, and it has nothing to do with the insulation.
It costs nothing to self-publish on Amazon, folks. Anyway, Hibernation continues. Wow, only 3 months left. Been here since your season 4, but it feels like I've been here since the beginning. They should have made this more about the new weapon. It was a really cool idea. I do wonder how the bullet maintained momentum through the beaming. Did I just miss the explanation? You did not.
No,
you did not. Good question. JD has a good answer later. It seems like it was possibly Iconian-inspired tech. Ooh, I like that. Yes, too much Esri, all in one series of mediocre shots. 26 self-sealing stem bolts like Mike's jersey number. Rocking the Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, everybody likes Saquon.
Not anymore.
But you can't hate Saquon.
It depends on who he's golfing with. YouTube viewer says, I appreciate Star Trek's dedication to environmentalism. This episode was 100% made out of recycled material. It was also nice of them to give the veteran actors a break and outsource all acting to Nicole DeBurr in this episode. We've had better Vulcan episodes. We've had better murder mysteries. We've had 2 better episodes with Joran Dex. DS9 had many horror or psychological thriller flavored episodes, and it had better psychologically thriller episodes, not horror. There were also better episodes where the heroes reminisced on dead crewmen. We have had better episodes analyzing psychological damage, is what I was trying to say, caused by the Dominion War. All of these episodes were significant, and he lists all of them, giving great examples for all those. All of those episodes were significantly better than this episode. This episode also opened a bunch of plot holes, and they telegraphed the death of the new guy way too much. The sci-fi of a gun that can shoot someone through several rooms away was really cool, but we never saw it before. And spoiler, we'll never see it again. A big plot hole when you are in a high-stakes war. This episode could have been better with a few minor tweaks. First, they should have introduced both Ensign Murder Victim and the murderous Vulcan, although he's typed it Vulvan, in previous episodes to establish them as character. Agreed. Secondly, they shouldn't have simplified the ritual so it brings out Duran Stack's personality to the forefront but doesn't let Ezri literally talk to him. Instead, have Ezri and Odo cooperate to foil the murderer. I'm a big fan of buddy cop movies where the two cops have very different personalities and are reluctantly working together. Ezri and Odo would be an interesting dynamic, and René Auberjonois elevates the acting of everyone he is paired with. 60 out of 100 recycled stem bolts. And YouTube viewer finished up with he's coming back. He quotes you at 1 hour and 6 minutes saying, having to kiss Keith. You mean getting to kiss Keith. I thought you were trying to play wingman to your single friend, Mike.
Listen, YouTube. I've been there. I've done that.
But that's not a good sales pitch for somebody else. Anyway.
Listen, if you haven't been sold in the hundreds of hours, we have placed Keith prominently in his element on the internet, then I don't know what to tell you. You know how many filters I put on him every week? There's so many LUTs.
Anyway, YouTube finishes. Why would
if you saw him in person, you wouldn't even recognize him. You'd be like, that's not the same guy.
No, it's true. He has a body below his elbows, and it's not great. Why would the Sixth Amendment apply here when the United States no longer exists? This is a joint Federation Bajoran holding in the middle of a war many light years away from Earth. But the Federation adopted similar rules and regulations to the Constitution, having forgotten that in canon, we threw them all out. But at least we thought we were still using them in the 90s. JD says that opening comment is going to be funnier in a few months. I don't remember what the comment was, but I'm sure that it would be funnier in a few months if we remembered anything that we say.
It's getting a little alarming how quickly I forget. Like when I go through the episode, I make mental notes of like, oh, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And then I go back into the edit, like literally after we finish, and have forgotten it all.
Oh, it's I'm a goldfish. Yeah. I will be clipping the don't suck too hard.
Forgot about that too.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Look, Mike, I don't mean to poop on your credenza, but we can't all be as brilliant as a toad in a Kid Rock music video. I don't know what any of that means.
Man, JD, if you can out-confuse both of us, that's pretty good.
That's not that impressive. We're frequently confused.
Some would say more than frequently. Maybe continually.
Perpetually.
Yeah.
What's hilarious with you talking about Keith gets prepared before the show starts, meaning we were talking about when we get into our costumes during a performance, and you waiting to the last minute is like the key mark differences between autism and ADHD. I thought about that too. I think that's a really insightful remark. It's funny your remark about the new guy flirting with Dax because it makes me think back to that I probably learned more about consent from Star Trek than from anywhere else. I think a lot of us learned a lot of the finer points of morality through Trek. Especially like the Next Gen era, but this too. It is understated how much work O'Brien puts into solving this mystery. Agreed. So, and here's where, it's great to rely on JD to answer all of our hard questions.
Always.
So, Mike, to expand on what you were asking about the replicators, in an episode of Next Gen, it's mentioned that only authorized medical replicators can replicate certain drugs, and even then, some require command authorization to make. From what it can be explained to believe, all replicators come with a library of stuff and can only make that, and it's customized depending on where it is going to be used, i.e., the mess hall replicators can only make food, the engineering replicators can only make tools and parts, and maybe a few snacks and drinks items for when you're needing a pick-me-up. Yeah, Skittles. So if the files for making the guns are restricted, it would mean that you'd only have to get hold of off-market files. In other words, you will not find this on the Repliverse. You've got to know a guy who knows this guy, or you have to figure out how to make the files yourself. Although some Starfleet replicators have been brought in for certain areas of Deep Space Nine, 95% of the replicators are still Cardassian ones that are constantly needing repairs. I doubt that they have been set up to report someone for uploading an illegal file to the replicator. In fact, also from Next Gen, there was a time when someone was killed on the Enterprise, and Worf was able to figure out exactly which replicator was used to make the device, because security and programming is far tighter on a Starfleet ship. Yeah, I'm sure that you need like the password to get to that file, but like anybody smart could hack their way.
So then, are there things in the universe that are unreplicatable? Like, I would imagine Latinum can't be replicated, right? Because there's too many fail-safes in order to keep. Why can't you just keep printing money?
It's a really good question, but now when a replicator does have to create something from matter, it's not creating matter out of nothing. It's going into like stores of components and using that matter to replicate something. So maybe, they don't, you can't replicate Latinum because we don't have the components to make it, but I don't know. It's just, it's whatever it is. But it's interesting you point out about the Cardassian replicators, because I'm of two minds about whether or not it would be easier or harder to replicate something like a gun on a Cardassian replicator, because easier, like safety, forget safety, none of that matters. But harder, they're in a super strict authoritarian regime where they might have like North Korea level passwords on what you can and cannot create. So I wonder which one it would be. And lastly, the eyepiece works the same way the transporter does. Magic! So I'm saying this in a totally non-spoiler way, but in this case, Voyager does this better. It's not at all bad to say. It's not as bad as you say, and memory of this is better than the rewatch, but I do enjoy it. 71 self-sealing stem bolts. All right, let us talk about this week's episode, finally. And I was about to promise to not make any more dick jokes, but that's not going to happen. So this is Season 7, Episode 14, Chimera, which aired on February 17th, 1999. Getting cold up in Vermont in 1999. But you want to know what might warm you up? The top song, Monica's Angel of Mine.
Angel of Mine. That's a great tune.
Yeah.
No, I have nothing funny to say. It's a great song.
Well, I appreciate you taking this short amount of time as possible while I was sneezing my face off.
Enjoy Monica too. Monica's.
I watched the video and that the music video of that the one that I clicked on, 162 million views.
90s R&B is still very popular.
Well, I mean, clearly. The top movie back on the top of the charts after a 1-week absence was Payback. Mike, what was on the television this evening?
Oh, you muted yourself. Okay, I thought the world was dying. I didn't look it up, so that's donezo too.
Once again, trying to Michael, buy me time to blow my nose.
I guess we are really highlighting all the ways I don't support you.
Teamwork. Yes, this is Mike's. But it's not resistance. It's not no but. It's not yes and. It's not no but. It's huh.
No, it's just no. I didn't do it.
Great. What was Voyager doing? The episode Dark Frontier. And I will not comment about that episode whatsoever. Free spoilers. This episode was directed by Stephen L. Posey, who last directed Treachery, Faith, and the Great River. And again, as it is Keith and Joloween season, he was the cinematographer on Friday the 13th, Part 5, which is an absolutely bananas movie. So much fun. I really like the Friday the 13th movie.
You know who else is a ton of fun, Keith?
What's that?
The following members.
We're nowhere near that segment.
Well, it's now. Brian Kimball Beersock, Clark Spar, JC Lubin,
Quit.
Jason Moe, Deborah, Peter,
Good Lord, I'm out of here.
and all of these fine folks. I'm not going to laugh through it for the next 15 minutes, but I want to let each and every one of these people know that we appreciate them, and you can be part of that team. In fact, the Hall of Famers do get a mention. Casey Clark, Brian Kaufman, Jason Moe, Joshua Cronin, The Mysterious Ann, Andrew Hayes, Worf's Boot Ships, Colin Dagan, Clark Spar, Peter Begg, CRM Productions, Jennifer Massanova, Cloud Lover 69, Jorge Navarre, Charles Babbage, Kevin Miles, Frank Wrench, Brian Kimball Beersock, JD, CRM. Again, so many times. Ryan Chesley, Yanba, Anton Peace, Merritt Mead, Harry Pothead. You've just got CRM Productions all over this slide.
Do I?
Yeah.
No, I've only got it once.
Twice. Left side and right side.
Oh.
Yes.
It's both sides of my heart.
Fair. Listen.
He made me a figure of myself.
Yeah, absolutely fine. I was just pointing it out. Thank you to our patrons. Please consider being part of the team. You can watch The Whales with us. Patreon.com/KNM.
And if you want to be on the slide multiple times, make me an action figure of myself. Because, feed my narcissism. Delicious. Where? Oh my God, where were we? Oh, this episode was written by René Echevarria.
Uh-huh.
And this is now when we do trivial trivia, because it's still not even time for that.
Now keep waste your time
So does Mike.
with trivial trivia.
And now it's time for filings and subpoenas. Deep cut filings and subpoenas. All right. Anyway, deep cut for
Some penis? No.
Jamie will get it. All right. Trivial trivia. Okay, so before I get into this,
That was a great bumper.
oh,
He has
so
some
good.
bangers on that show.
So for this episode, did you watch it with the patrons live or did you do
No,
it separate?
I did not. No.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter why.
All right. So then, the question is, does Mike know who our guest star this week was?
No.
Do you know that was one of our recurring major cast members?
Jeffrey Combs?
Nope. That's right. That's fair. A recurring major cast member that's not Jeffrey Combs.
No, who was it?
Could you? All right. Give me some guesses. It is a major recurring actor on the show.
Let's see. I gotta pull up a.
Well, don't look it up. You got to use.
No,
use
pull up
your-
a picture. Gold Ducat?
Nope. But good guess.
I can't see. I can't see through the makeup.
Can't see the makeup, and you can't see through the performance, which is what's
Yeah,
so
I don't
freaking
know.
amazing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's Martok.
Oh, yeah. No, I never would have got that. I barely see it now.
And that when I the first time I realized
What's the
that was
actor's
JG Hertzler. JG Hertzler. I was stunned because obviously, makeup, does a lot of work there, but his voice, his acting, his performance is so distinct and different from Martok that
Wow.
it is incredibly remarkable. So when we're finished here, go watch 5 minutes of him doing it, and you will be blown away that this is JG Hertzler.
Kind of shocked. I kind of didn't know what he looked like in person.
Yeah. but like all of that like gruffness and bravado and everything are completely different characters.
I would say maybe pop culture's second best JG.
Who's the first?
JG Wentworth.
877.com or
877 Cash Now.
Cash Now. Okay, well, fair enough. So J.G. Hertzler guest stars as the Changeling in this episode. Because he regularly plays Martok, he was credited in this episode as Garmon Hertzler to mask the fact that he was playing a different role. Andrew Robinson, Garrick, was considered for this role as well. Both of them required heavy makeup, but they felt like Robinson's voice was too recognizable. Which I would have said with JG's, but he changed his voice, softened it, took all the gravel out, raised the pitch up a little bit. That's why it's almost imperceptible. Quark's comment to Odo in the episode about people's suspicion of Odo and the Changelings is one of Armin's 3 speeches on the show that he is most proud of for what he had to say. And I think it's a great speech. I wonder how many of those speeches were written by René Echevarria.
Yeah, it was a good speech. The full weight of it didn't hit me for a while because the beginning of it, because it was so pointed and he like tracked him down for it, I for sure thought it was the Changeling becoming Quark to like try to tell him, hey, everybody hates you, you should come with me. That's what I thought. I thought it was it was, and then it wasn't until the very end where I was like, oh, I guess it's not him, and then I kind of was lost what he said to me.
Yeah, well, I'll read it to you.
I figured as much.
So Hertzler based his performance, get this, on William Shatner. He wanted Laz to be annoyingly judgmental, as if humanoids were beneath him, and that all they do is upset the natural balance of things. Shatner has a way of taking extended pauses and over-enunciation. That could work for Laz. He described it as Laz doing Shatner doing Kirk. Interesting. So, now this is normally where I'd point out how awesome our patrons are. Well, I don't need to now. So our guest stars are Garmon Hertzler as Laz, John Eric Bentley as the Klingon, and Joel Goodness as the Deputy. So now, let's go into our screening room, shall we? What was that segment we used to do on our Broadway one?
Mike gives a bad review and Keith's upset and nervous.
Yep, that's about right. No, we used to do like a fake headlines thing.
That's the meanest one we've ever done. My pitch is so bad in that. Well, now why are my buttons not working?
It wasn't me being mean. It was reality was mean, buddy.
Them buttons really are not.
It just reflected reality.
Yeah, you're right.
So in our teaser, Odo and O'Brien are returning from something. O'Brien notices that Odo brought home a present for Kira and realizes he forgot to get anything for Keiko, including an appearance. He tries to buy one of Odo's present, and it's a great illustration of new relationships versus established relationships. But it's cute. But then, they are overtaken by a giant spacefaring creature that flies up to the runabout, then goos onto the ship through a vent, and we discover it's a changeling. I loved the idea of the giant spacefaring...
That was awesome.
...creature thing, and what they're able to do with CG, like, it looked good, it was cool.
And it synchronicity'd up, because we had just done that episode of Strange New Worlds not but a couple of weeks ago where, in season 3, where we had that, like, animal that was being Manchurian candidated, basically, as a weapon.
Yeah, then we watched it kill itself.
Yeah.
So, in Act 1, the changeling takes humanoid form.
Oh, by the way, time out.
Yeah.
I was saying, this is a great teaser, baby. It's all I need. You give me 20 seconds, bullet points,
yeah.
Beep, 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 beep. Here's the tension, cut to credit.
Yeah, no, super straightforward, super easy. So, Changeling takes humanoid form, though not like Odo or the Founders, but he recognizes Odo as a changeling right away. So this shifter has never seen a changeling before. He's not a Founder. he is one of the 100. Now, if Mikey, you remember, Odo is one of the hundreds.
The probes.
They just zapped out a whole bunch of goo babies. And thus far, this is the third one that we've met. He allows himself to be taken prisoner, but only by Odo. He does not trust humanoids.
All right, hold on. My buttons aren't working, so I'm going to be a little slow on this button.
Okay, let's
I have a
hear it.
wormhole that I'm going to fix for myself, but I wanted to
Okay.
mention it because it's need to be said. We spend the whole episode with, remind me of the changeling's name, Louse?
Laws.
Laz. He's a
Laz.
louse. Laz is a louse. And he's talking about how primitive and like we don't really like humans and all this stuff. But apparently he has the same trouble changelinging, replicating a human, right? But then I realized we're not actually seeing him replicate a human. He's just replicating Odo's replication of a human.
No, he's replicating the humanoid species that he grew up with.
Oh, that's why. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, so he's like, because remember he was like in love.
So it's like
and
they
he grew
can't be
up-
that graded because Odo he can't even really perfect the human form.
No, because he's not trying to. He's trying to replicate the other guys.
Gotcha.
So later, back on the station, he's been put in the holding cell for safekeeping. Odo advocates with Cisco for his freedom. He explains that were he a founder, important plot point, he would have had the disease, but doesn't. Cisco relents, but he makes Odo responsible for Laz. Odo and the changeling then have a long walk and talk on the promenade where Odo explains the founders and the fact that they're at war, and the changeling explains that he's had a bunch of bad experiences with solids, similar to what the founders went through. But his resolution is to just steer clear of them rather than be at war. Odo says, well, these solids are different. My friends are. Which the changeling Laz is skeptical about. They continue catching up as they make an awkward cut to go back to the other side of the set and walk it
that's
again.
exactly what I thought. I was like, that's the weirdest cut. And I was like, oh, they had to, they couldn't go
They
around.
ran out of set and they had to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess there's no way you can fix that. It is what it is.
Well, I think you could have done a smoother cut. Like, because they cut from a 2-shot to another 2-shot. They should have done a 1-shot, another 1-shot, reset them, and then had them keep walking.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's clearly a technical error. Is what something happened in the coverage or in the whatever, and they just couldn't piece it together right.
Yeah, or have somebody walk across and use that as a wipe, set yourself back. It was very noticeable if you're a nerd who notices these things.
Yeah.
Which, guess what? We are.
There are, yeah.
So, where was I? So they can. Oh yeah. So we learn that this changing Laz is much older than Odo, or at least he's been self-aware for longer than Odo. He's been self-aware for 200 years now.
Jeez, no, that's just from before. I don't know what the delay is.
It was buffered that long?
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't stand. I don't love what.
Yeah, we better be
means.
recording, right?
Yeah. Seems like it.
Okay.
Well,
I'm not doing this episode again.
I know. So if it just comes up on YouTube with just a number, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Stem balls, just a
Yeah.
picture. So, and the Laz was initially interested in solids, but humanoids aren't very tolerant of difference. And Odo says some of them are. There are dozens of species living on the station. They tolerate each other's differences quite well. But as Laz points out, look, that guy's got bumps on his forehead and she's got a wrinkled nose, but they're basically alike. They're bipeds that eat, sleep, and breathe. You and I are nothing like this. Are nothing like them. And, here's the thing. They're selling Laz to be sort of an arrogant prick. But he's right.
He's mostly right in most of the stuff he says.
He's mostly right. Yeah, 100%.
Especially he actually gives some really compelling treatises on identity and embracing that identity that I think if in another context would be celebrated, right? And
For sure.
that's one of the great things about Deep Space Nine is that it doesn't always paint the antagonist as an antagonist fully.
Well, I don't even think he's an antagonist.
Well,
I
he's an
think he
antagonist
is-
to what Odo wants. I think that is the. I think it's cool. It's a cool bait and switch to me because I think what we are initially presented with as the kind of thing is Odo being true to himself?
Right.
Or I'm sorry, will Odo leave? Is Odo should he be? Is he just trying to blend in with the humans? And I think that's kind of where what we're presented in the beginning. What it ends up being is really a treatise on, well, in a way, what sacrifices we make for relationships, how we decide what parts of our identity we want to explore at any given time. It's so much more nuanced. What I'm trying to say,
It's incredibly nuanced
than what is generally the plot points in a episode of television like this.
Yeah, and I don't think that he's an antagonist to what Odo wants. I think he is forcing Odo to see the conflict in what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's an inherent conflict here. Odo wants both things,
Mm-hmm.
but they're mutually exclusive. So he has to choose one over the other. But he wants both. Like, he wants to go and be goober about the universe looking for the other 100. He wants to be a changeling. He also wants to be with Kira, and both of those things, he just can't have both of those at the same time.
Sure, because it's interesting, because I think because Las presents himself as so superior to humans,
Right.
but we also see him riddled with many of the things that make us inferior. He's riddled with
Right.
arrogance, with
Right.
egoism, because really, as much as he's trying to hold a mirror up to Odo, he really just wants what he wants. He wants Odo to come with him and be buddy
He's
cop
not
with him.
accepting their differences either.
Yeah, and he ain't looking to understand what Odo's going through. He just wants him to do what he wants. So that's also an interesting conflict.
That is 100% true at the same time, which is why I think this is so interesting. Anyway, we learned that his name, Laz, which means changeable. So they go back to Odo's quarters, where Laz will stay because Odo has been busy with Kira in Kira's quarters. He's got that apartment you haven't been to in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
It's cool the level of shame that René plays in these early scenes. Not like he's hiding Kira because he knows the response he's going to get. So, and of course, he didn't take the picture down, but...
Odo's shame here is kind of what this episode is about, because he's a little ashamed, a little embarrassed about Kira and his connection to the solids. He is also, with the solids, ashamed of his being a changeling, and certainly I think this episode in a lot of ways is a big long not parable, but study of queerness.
Yeah, in many ways.
In their relationship, and his the being discomforted with the PDA. I don't want people I'm fitting in. I don't want people to really know who I really am in our relationship, and it's really interesting.
I would say yes. I think it's allegorical in many ways, but at the same time, I find a lot of parallels, and we'll discuss this at the end. A lot of parallels about monogamy and about
that too as well.
The inherent paradox of sacrifice in monogamy, in a monogamous relationship, versus the choice of the benefit of what you can gain from that. What's the parallel between sacrifice and gain, right? The equilibrium that you you'll put up with, that you want with, that you're exploring, all of these things. Sorry to...
No, but I hadn't even thought about it that way, but I think you're right. I think it's both.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This episode is all of these
It's the sacrifice of monogamy, and also the sacrifice of one of the partners essentially being queer, not being to be in a monogamous relationship in this way. You can't express either non-monogamy. You also cannot express your queerness to be in that. And I think that's what we're sort of dealing with
I
here.
didn't even look at it that lens, but that makes a lot of sense. I also think there's some incredible things we can learn from Kira's beat at the end and the way Odo interprets it, but also... Yeah, I mean, I guess what you're saying, like, the fact... The grace that she gives him...
Right.
In this beat coming, like, I guess we'll talk about when we get to the beat. I don't want to let slip, because I think we actually learned something really interesting about changeling lore in the scene previous to this. We don't really learn it, but they explore a sci-fi concept, which I think is awesome. Odo made a lot of assumptions about how long he was an experiment and all these things, and he says in space, it's possible, based on the timelines, that he was just afloat and adrift in space for however long.
Yeah.
Until he was found.
Because Laz has been conscious for 200 years, and Odo's been conscious for 30. They easily could have been put out at the same time, but who's to say they weren't out there for 2,000 years before the 200 even?
You know, it brought to mind, that concept brought to mind a very, like, an atheist principle that Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about a lot that I think is really fascinating. Because, you know, the general kickback to atheism or atheists or whatever, non-God people is very, well, what was before nothing? And to which Neil deGrasse is like, I don't know exactly, that science is still exploring that, but the building blocks of life across all spectrums are the same things. And they were just adrift in space until the right circumstances took place to
create life.
And I feel like Odo just drifting without sentience as the building blocks of a sentient being until the right circumstances is a cool science fiction-y way to illustrate that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's deep. I like it. So they talk about Kira, and Laz said that he had a mate once, but we broke up because we couldn't have children. And he asked, do you think Kira cares, wants to have children? And he's like, we've never discussed it. And he's like, neither did we at first. Which is, that is a very human thing. That is a very important thing, in relationships, especially once you get to a certain age. You kind of need to have that discussion early so that you're not wasting each other's time. So Odo then explains the link to Laz and demonstrates by linking with him. It is clearly somewhat sexual, this connection here.
I think that's limited as they try to explore, but I think intimate is the question. And Kira mentions it that way as well. And Kira treats it that way. It's the closest allegory we have.
Yeah, but I think, like, the story here is that it is intimate in a, if not romantic, certainly a sexual-ish way, because they treat it that way.
Yeah.
And it has been treated that way previously. And
but I do think it's reductive in a way, because if you look at the Great Link, right, it's not just like a giant orgy on the planet where they're all just like orgying out constantly. I think it's a much more sharing of ideas. It's a more Borgian thing than
I think it's a little bit sexual, and I don't think it's reduced to one or the other, but I think there's, because I really do take this as a queer allegory, so I do read it that way, but they also give you some outs there to pretend like that's not what you just saw on TV.
Sure. And I'm not trying to argue against the sexuality of it. I'm just saying it's not just that. The read, and because I'm trying to actually be much more broad, right? In that, and I think queer is the right word, because there are so many spectrums and different varieties of sexual exploration and relationships, and I don't judge and or know half of them, right? I'm not even aware of half of the way people might choose to explore love and relationships and sex. However, I think the key point here is this situation when Kira, when viewed with your actual partner in the monogamous relationship,
right,
is not just him with another partner. It's something I cannot give you. Be it maybe I'm not a polygamist, maybe or a poly.
But which is where I go to the queerness. Because no matter how much you love your partner, if you are in a heterosexual relationship and your partner is bisexual, there's a part of their sexuality that you literally cannot give them.
Sure. Or they might be their kink may be S&M, BDSM. There might be things you cannot, because it's not how you express yourself, cannot.
Totally.
Yeah. So
totally.
I'm just trying not to be. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to open the door to remove the stigmata of people who don't want to hear it because it's a queer allegory, right? Like, I think it's broader in paintbrush, which allows it to be heard louder.
Well, it's complex, and I think Kira's reaction to what happened is like, I don't really even know what I'm supposed to feel here. Should I be mad? Should I not be mad? Should I be happy? I have no idea, and I think that's a fair response to it. But first, later, Laz is in post-Linkle bliss and says, "For the first time in my life, I understand what it meant to exist. You've given me a great deal. And you've given up a great deal to stay here," which I think is important. Mm-hmm. And Odo says, "I have. But I won't have anything to do with the founders and their war." And the changeling says, "Odo, we linked. I know the truth. You've stayed here because of Kira. If it wasn't for her, you'd be with our people. War or no war, you'd be a founder." Which is interesting because, he would know, right?
Yeah.
So later, this is where we have this conversation. Odo tells Kira that he linked with Laz, and she's not sure how to feel about it. And what I wrote was it being somewhat sex and somewhat not sex. But she's working hard to be open-minded and supportive.
Or even... that's why I like the idea, because there are things... There's such a maturity in the approach to relationships here that you I just know when I was younger, I'll speak for myself, when I was younger, and what I thought about marriage, what I thought about this, what I thought about that, was all black and white lines, rules.
Yep.
Me too. And if XYZ happened, I would do this. If someone cheated on me, this would happen.
The code is all written. The rules are all written. You do this when.
And that's pretty much how television presents things anyway, right?
Most of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And here, you can look into all the allegories. You can do everything. It's all complex, but what's wonderful about this scene, whatever lens you look through, is that she responds with empathy and trust.
And curiosity.
Yeah.
And a willingness to feel the discomfort, which I think is clear.
Mm-hmm. And articulate it,
but also take a deep breath and let's figure out how to navigate this together.
And he's upfront about it, and he tries to explain it best he can. And that's what I'm saying. I know people who are very non-religious, who are married to or in a relationship with people who are very religious, and they do not get it. I ain't coming to church with you. It's not a part of my life, but there is, but I'm giving space to its importance to you.
Right.
That's incredible. Or like you said, there are trans relationships that did not begin that way.
Right.
And you are just, your mind is expanded with, okay, here's a person who I knew as I don't know, whatever, this gender, and now they are another gender. Nothing else has changed.
Right. So, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for us? And you know what? There's no right answer.
Right. It's very individual.
To the relationship.
And I think it's cool that Odo relates that to Laz later, where he's saying, you don't put your relationship on me. Like you're trying to tell me, some great stuff in this scene. And I texted Keith last night. René's performance is so gentle and vulnerable and everything about it. I was not a Kira Odo person. It's just like, because there was no real chemistry and I just didn't quite get it. This episode has radically changed that for me. Radically.
You're on Team Kodo.
Team Kodo, just love it. Just loving what's happening here.
Yeah.
I aspire to it, in fact.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have a lot to teach all of us.
And from where we started, where he was all about not expressing how he felt. And it's
the more, I mean, that reveals the vulnerability more than his being vulnerable in some ways. Yeah. So later, he introduces his new buddy to all of his friends. This does not go well. He very much does not like solids, but he has some good reasons for it. And he says, it's just like any other planet that's been overrun with humanoids, cities and farms everywhere, other life forms displaced from their habitats. I once migrated to the southern continent with a herd of bolg. By the time we returned to the breeding grounds the next summer, they'd been fenced off. The herd died out within 2 generations. It's the same on any planet where humanoids thrive. They disrupt the natural balance. Yeah, guilty. 100%.
Yes, and what the episode does is like everything you said. Everything you said is right. Just like, a lot of your political views, Keith, might be right. However, and it's fine to say them here, but if you go to your next door neighbor's birthday party and you don't know any of the people, that's probably not the time. Just like, and I think the way this scene handles that, and also shows character growth, which is why I'm. Can you tell I'm a fan of this episode? Because on his way, what would season 2 Odo had done at the end of this scene in season 2? He would have been effing mortified and skirked and whatever. But you know what he does here? He goes, womp womp, and walks out. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's such a human thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think your concept of religion is almost better than the political, because it's like, we just fundamentally believe a different thing. And you're right. I go to the cookout, like I have my beliefs about religion. But again, once I stopped being a child in college and I was like, I'm going to jam this down your throat. And I'm like, okay, well, is there a purpose to this? Is there not a purpose to this? I can live honestly without...
Like, we're watching a football game and eating barbecue chips?
I don't need to be becoming, unless there is a reason to hammer my beliefs, then that's one thing. Politics now are too complicated. Anyway, but then O'Brien makes a pretty overtly racist comment. It's pretty distasteful.
I can't
It's like, we're not the ones who can disguise ourselves as anything we want. Meaning that shapeshifters aren't to be trusted. And then Odo's like, I trust Odo. There's a good one I know. And, but again, that's O'Brien. He's with Cardassians, that kind of stuff. And the changeling says, and this is a great line, of course you trust Odo. Look at him. You've convinced him that he's as limited as you are. Odo is, of course, annoyed and pulls him out and says, you're certainly not afraid to make grand generalizations. I've been many things in my time. I speak from experience. Enough talk. Link with me.
Well, hold on. That, I think, is the first time he says something that is questionable. Right? That is his human bias accrediting something he sees as a flaw in Odo to his people. He's removing agency from Odo. Like, I don't know that you can make the argument that they've forced him to be less than he is, or that they've convinced him.
Right.
You could also, as we come to find out, that's maybe Odo made a decision, right? That's
well, and that is, you're right. That is where Laz's arrogance comes in. He makes a lot of assumptions immediately, aggrandizing assumptions, and sort of treats Odo and assumes Odo to be like a child.
Yes, he is very infantile.
He's very condescending like that, and that is, which makes him look like the angry teenager, not Odo, because of these sort of strident assumptions that he makes. But then, so right on the promenade, he wants to link with Odo. And Odo says, I don't think it's a good idea. You're embarrassed. You don't want to do anything to remind them that you're not truly humanoid. I don't go out of my way to point it out, no. And this is where, again, I think this is a clear queer PDA allegory. Where it's like, you don't want to hold hands in public, right?
Sure.
They all right, so some of them know, that I'm queer, but I don't want to like rub it in their face, right?
Yes, and I want to make a very clear point. I am not arguing against Keith's queer allegory here. I am not. I think it is absolute. I think it's probably the focal allegory, but I'm just expanding. Because so after therapy every week, I get a lot of homework. She takes advantage of my incessant need to hyperfocus and research and gives me little topics. And one of the topics I was to research this past week before last, is masking. When it comes to mental disability, mental diagnoses, and that masking goes for your sexual identity, your mental health identity, your physical ability, disabilities, whatever.
Or
Masking
even beliefs.
is your beliefs. Masking is all over the place.
Your education, your whatever. Yeah.
And it is a deep well of, because masking, there's a fine line between how I choose to present versus what is shame, what is societal abuse / trauma. I mean, it is complex, as Keith said.
Big time.
And that the masking, I think, is the bigger, bold, underlying thing here, rather than just like queer PDA. I absolutely get it. In fact, that bias is the easiest to pinpoint because you see it all of the time. Even walking last night at the drag show, people, you can see the face. Oh, well, why do they have to hold hands in public? Like, why do I have to see it? I don't care. But why do I have to see it?
Why are you at a drag show if you think that?
Well, I'm just mean in town, right? Because it was clearly the population going to the drag show was predominantly homosexual. But anyway, so I didn't want to pull that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're right. And look, I have a whole segment on masking in my show, 10 Times I Should Have Known I Was Autistic, coming up November 4th in New York City, autisticshow.com. Get some tickets.
Yeah, come say hi to Keith and I.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Sure, we'll sign your hat. Yeah, whatever.
Why would you want us to graffiti your hat?
Because there's one person who's going to come with a DS9 hat who just for the autograph. They didn't even want to see the show, Keith. Guarantee we're going to meet Jamie Lubin. She lives in New York. Guarantee we're going to meet Jamie.
I hope so. Yeah. But I don't think either of us will be signing any autographs, buddy. Sorry. If you want me to, I'll have you sign something if it'll make you feel better. But anyway.
Did I ever give you my autograph story from New York? I have to tell you this real quick. Quick side note. Do you mind? Doesn't matter. I had a stage manager friend who was working at Jersey Boys on Broadway when it was on Broadway. And I went in during their matinee to drop something off, and we were chatting. They were the ASM, excuse me, and the show was coming down. We got to chatting, and I was then leaving at around the time when the cast was leaving, and this was a show I had tried to book for years and did not book, right? So I had some baggage with it, and as we're walking out, people are lined up for autographs from the cast, and I'm a short Italian man, so the assumption is very easy that I was in the cast. And so people were like, oh, would you sign my playbill? Would you sign my playbill? Now, I am not that guy. I would never do that. And so I quickly just hid my face and walked away because I'm not going to sign a playbill for a show I couldn't book. And that's just the worst. I can't even think of a worse thing, although it would be a funny story. But the story ends up, I actually just I just walked past these people, and all I heard was, what an asshole. Yeah, it was great.
I mean, see, but you could have unmasked and said, I'm not in the show.
Very
I'm not
untalented.
in the show.
Very untalented.
You didn't have to say that.
Okay. Keith, Odo?
Oh, no. So, Laz says, before I came here, when was the last time you assumed another form? You can't even remember. You've been pretending to be a humanoid for so long it doesn't occur to you you can be anything else. And Odo says that's not true. I've been involved with other things lately. Like what? Courting Kira? She can't even link with you. If you're lucky, you'll get to watch her grow old and die. He then asks Odo to leave with him and try to find the other changelings. So Odo then discusses this with Kira, and she is surprised when he didn't immediately say no. Now he claims he was just being polite, but she smells a rat, afraid that Laz knows something that she doesn't, that because he linked, he might know parts of Odo want to leave, and knows parts of Odo that she doesn't and can't.
I think what's cool here too is both Laz and Kira are Kira's funneling a lot of her insecurity about the relationship, about what she can't give, into assuming that that's why he didn't say yes or no. Laz obviously thinks he knows how Odo should be, and so he's channeling a lot of that. But what I find, and I'm just having, I guess I just had I was identifying a lot with Odo in this episode.
Sure.
There are times in life, especially with, in my life, where I am not 100% sold on the decision I've made, decision I've made, or what I want to do, indecision paralysis, because I'm a peacemaker, which is a very specific role one finds themselves in the line when they are, in my case, had narcissistic parents and grew up with narcissistic relationships, and you become somebody who kind of dissociates or tries to play peacemaker. And when you're that person, you want to yes everybody. It's impossible to yes everybody. It's impossible to, but it's
try.
A Herculean effort at all times. And so I saw him here not wanting to disappoint Laz. And maybe I can be that changeling that you think I should be. Maybe I should be that person. Oh, but I want to be here for Kira, and I don't
want to disappoint Kira.
Right. Maybe I need to be the devoted husband. I have to get the souvenir. I've got to do the this. I've got to do the that. And as my therapist tells me, you can't live in that place. You will never decide what protein you want to be, which is what she says. It's like, what kind of food do you want to be if you're poked with a fork? You want to be pudding where it just slides through? Do you want to be like a protein? It's a weird analogy, but it works for me.
Yeah, sure.
And I think Odo legit doesn't know what kind of, because he's gooey, right? He's gooey in figuratively and literally.
Yeah, no, and I think that he is genuinely torn.
Yeah.
And Kira can tell, and she sort of gets to the heart of it. She says, "I'm sorry, I can't link with you." And again, I think that's like, there's a piece of him that she cannot fulfill because of who she is biologically. And that doesn't mean that they can't be in a relationship together, but it means that inherent to their relationship, if he is monogamous with her, he is making a compromise, and she knows that. Mm-hmm. And that's hard.
Remind me when we get to the end, because I'll make the point then. But if I forget, I'm going to blow the whole thing. The point I want to make is between reveal and choice. Okay?
Interesting.
I'm going to write it down.
All right. So Odo goes back to his quarters and see that Laz has been existing as fire. Cool.
Very cool.
Odo tells Laz he's not going, but he asks Laz to stay for a bit, who agrees. Then they link again. Later, Odo goes on the promenade, and we discover it covered in mist. It's Laz again. Everyone is confused, but of course a couple of dum-dum Klingons are pissed.
Time out. Have we heard them say I love you to each other before? That's like
Odo and Kira.
Because they both kind of said it, and there's a lot of heart behind it. So that was like a kind of a big exploration of how far this relationship has come.
That's a really good question. It might be the first time. And I wonder if it's the first time that they have said it versus the first time we have seen it.
Didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But it carried weight.
Yeah. So the dum-dum Klingons are angry that a changeling is here. Laz is not impressed with them. They stab him, which of course is pointless. Then he like casually, Terminator 2 sword hands stabs the Klingon dead. Uh-oh. So, just casual murder. Not great. Not a great look. So, in Act 4, of course, Laz has been arrested again. And Odo tries to argue self-defense, but it's a pretty weak argument. The Klingons are trying to extradite. They claim that we are menaced by Laz's publicly being a shapeshifter, which I took to be more queer allegory.
I actually I just found it to be like a really cool science fiction concept that there is inherently a challenge in the Federation and in the galaxy's sort of grand mission of trying to like all find a set of rules. I guess as any country really, a set of rules and beliefs and ethics that can encapsulate all types of folk and species. Like we got non-corporeal beings up there. We got these goo people who can right. Does because he can't be killed and he can kill differently? Should different rules apply? It's a cool concept, and I'm glad we broach it here. I wish there's just not enough time for that exploration.
Yeah,
we only kind of cursorily have it, but
yeah, well, it's interesting because like I'm picking up on the sort of the homophobia of it, or like racism or whatever you want it of it's like I don't want you existing as yourself if yourself makes me uncomfortable, right? But you're right that like the other piece of it is the massive power differential,
right?
And how do you navigate that? Good one. So Sisko says General Martok, wink, has expressed concerns about our security arrangements, meaning he doesn't feel like it's appropriate for you, meaning Odo, to be in charge of the prisoner. Because you're a witness to the alleged crime, of course. And Odo says, that's a relief. For a moment I thought you would say it was because I'm a changeling. Then, this is that interesting conversation. Quark goes to comfort his friend. And I think this is genuine. And he drops some knowledge on him. And he says, the fog episode certainly didn't help matters. He was only doing what comes naturally to us. Quark says, you've never pulled a stunt like that. You're smart enough to know that people don't want to be reminded that you're different. Who wants to see someone turn into goo? I hope you don't do that around Kira. Why shouldn't I? If she's anything like me, she'd rather you didn't. We humanoids are the product of millions of years of evolution. Our ancestors learned the hard way that what you don't know might kill you. That you wouldn't have survived if you hadn't jumped back when you encountered a snake coiled in the muck. And now, millions of years later, that instinct is still there. It's genetic. Our tolerance for other life forms doesn't extend beyond the two-arm, two-leg variety. I hate to break it to you, but when you're in your natural state, you're more than our poor old genes can handle. Watch your step, Odo. We're at war with your people. This is no time for a changeling pride demonstration on the promenade.
So clearly the linguistics, the nomenclature of this speech in our present viewing really highlights the allegory you've been bringing up this whole episode. The question I have about it, though I think it's nails bullseye, right? Is also, but what are the writers, what are we saying here? Like, what are we doing? What are we communicating?
Well, you're looking for the writer's solution to this problem. But I don't think the writer is giving a solution to the problem, merely isolating the problem.
Okay.
And because Quark isn't coming with a solution. He's saying, keep your head down. Like,
sure.
This sucks. This is an uncomfortable truth. I care about you. Keep your head down. Is that the right answer? I don't know. I don't think that the writers are saying that that's the right answer, but it is also the truth.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it was less what the writers, and like, what is Quark really like? What is his?
Well, because
what is
Quark,
his I want in this?
He wants Odo to be careful. He cares about Odo. He doesn't care as much about the rights and wrongs and like the social justice of it. He wants You know, he would be the one saying, don't hold hands with your boyfriend in Alabama, not because it's not the right thing to do or you shouldn't have the right to do it. I don't want you to get murdered. And I think that's his point of view.
Okay, that 100% tracks, and I yes, yes.
So Odo tries to talk privately with Laz, but is denied. Laz is understandably skeptical of his upcoming trial. He says, my only consolation is that this may finally make you understand that you don't belong here. They tolerate you because you emulate them. What higher flattery is there? I, who can be anything, choose to be like you. But even when you make yourself in their image, they know that you aren't truly one of them. That what you appear to be doesn't reflect what you really are. It's only a mask. There you go. What lies underneath is alien to them, so they fear it, and that fear can turn to hate in the blink of an eye. He's sort of saying the same thing that Quark is.
Mm-hmm.
So later, Kira tries to calm Odo, and he knows they're going to railroad this trial. Laz's words are resonating with, and Quark's are resonating with Odo, and she tries to comfort him again. He says, I care about you more than anyone I've ever known. These last few months have been the happiest of my life. But even so, a part of me wishes that Laz and I were out there right now, searching for the others, existing as changelings, because that's what I am. Not a humanoid, a changeling. And Kira says, you're right. Maybe you should be out there. So Kira decides to take action. She breaks Laz out of prison and tells him to meet Odo at a rendezvous spot. And he asks why. And her answer is simply, because I love him. So in Act 5, everyone is pissed that Laz escaped. Kira lies and says he escaped on his own. She then tells Odo what she did. And she says what she believes to be goodbye to Odo. And Odo heads off to meet Laz. He gets to the rendezvous spot and says, I'm not going with you. He says, I know where I belong. Humanoids aren't the petty, limited creatures you perceive them to be. What Nerys did should prove that even to you. Love conquers all, is that it? He says, I'm sorry you don't understand. You've done many things, been many things, but you've never known love. Then, back at Deep Space Nine, Kira prays for Odo's journey when he walks in and surprises her. Kira says, I didn't think I'd see you again. I couldn't go. And then she says, Odo, if I've ever made you feel like you can't be yourself when you're with me, I'm sorry. I want to know you the way you really are. Which is what we all want to hear, right? That's what anybody wants to hear. So he then turns into a plasma shower of light, and she dances literally inside him. And we have this both metaphorically and like visually beautiful thing. So, yeah.
So real quick, I want to I didn't want to interrupt your flow there, but why did he choose to take the runabout and not just be like a space flying awesome creature like Lost was in the beginning? Is that because he hasn't learned to replicate that? Like
yeah, I don't think, it's like, oh, I can fly? Cool, but I gotta get to this meeting. Oh, I'm gonna worry about how to fly.
Yeah. And also, just like, even Odo, I think, downplays the Kira thing there. Like, oh, if you love something, you set it free, right? And so that's why she loves me. Look, she did that. She made that sacrifice. And she wasn't saying, like, I'll sacrifice you so you can go do what you want to do. It's, I want you to go be who you are. And I don't think that I've allowed you to... She made a choice for him. And then when he made his choice, that's when I think it clicks for her that, oh, okay, if you would really want to be with me, then I want to be with you. And...
Right. She's asking him to unmask with her,
which is awesome. And let's get into it.
Yeah.
Total inconsistency. AlamarEmmys! It's AlamarEmmys time!
Yeah.
Oh man, none of my buttons are working. What
Aw.
the frick?
I'm sorry about your buttons, buddy.
Oh, it's a tough one. Oh man. Well, you go first.
I'm gonna give it to Quark's speech. That is an important piece of uncomfortable truth about the society that we live in. And it's not what we want to be the truth. It's not a solution to anything, but it is a problem that we must acknowledge in order to come up with that solution. And we as a society don't like that truth, so we deny it, and then we try to skip to the solution, denying the problem, and guess what? It has not been successful yet. So I think I think it's a really insightful thing for him to say, and his love for Odo is clear in that moment. He is choosing the safety of his friend over any ethical ideas or lofty ideas. He just wants his friend to be safe.
I like it. I'm going to go with that first scene after the first link with Kira and Odo, because it is a portrayal of what, we all think we know what we want in a relationship. I want someone who's super hot. I want someone who's like, we have great sex together, or we have, they're just my best friend, or, but, and all those are great. You get to decide. That's the wonderful thing. You get to decide what you want. But to have a partner accept something they don't understand, and instead of reacting, she listened, expressed, and gave space. And damn, you don't see that on TV. Especially not in a science fiction property from the 90s.
They'll be like, you cheated on me!
Yeah, that's what all television is currently. So it's awesome. It's mind-blowing. And it's something I wouldn't have even clocked when I was, however old I was when this, 19 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't even think I would have been like, yeah, right. And, or, oh, we're not getting divorced because we have kids and we want to see our kids. And I'd be like,
right. Yeah.
Life is a teacher and becomes a teacher. And so, yeah, that's that. Shall we?
Yeah, I tell you what, like, real life will humble you if you do not learn to accept the reality for what it is and not what you wanted it to be or what you expected it to be. You will be humbled, sir.
Yeah. And if you've been humbled,
you'll the better for it.
You'll be humbled more, right? Like, life continually finds a way to make you think. Every time you think you've got some shit figured out, it will remind you don't.
I have a line in my show about the gift of humility that comes from divorce. That humility is a gift. I am grateful for it.
Yeah, all humility. Yeah. Poverty, though I don't wish it upon anybody, taught me that I did not have a clue who I was.
Yeah.
How much stronger you are, you'll learn in life. How much weaker you are than you thought you were, you will find in life. All those things are coming.
You have empathy even when you're out of it. You look at people in that situation a lot differently than if you've never been there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's hand out some STEM balls.
You get some STEM balls. Hell yeah, they are self-sealing. Here are some STEM balls for you.
Two little kind of stories I want to start with. One, I learned a lot by a lot of failed relationships. I think that's what Keith's saying. You learn a lot from them about yourself, about what you want, about all those kinds of things. And even then, and I got married pretty late, even then, thinking I knew so many things, being married, deciding upon a monogamous marriage, present is you the best thing I knew was that I didn't know anything going in, right? That I couldn't make promises, that I just didn't know. You can't tell the future. Like, in life, you just don't know what life is going to throw at you. And even knowing that, when all of the twists and turns and things come, I always thought that I would have to shield, right? I'd have to, like, defend. I'd have to block things. It would be a very defensive thing.
Right.
I never gave enough space to some of the beautiful things that would present themselves in being in a relationship with one person, one partner, and what that sort of confidence and intimacy of ideas and life would bring. Never even thought about that. And it's been pretty wonderful. And it's, I don't need to enumerate them because it's very personal to me and my lowercase marriage, right? I don't believe in the big capital M that everybody subscribes to the same thing. What I've found interesting is that a lot of people who are in other types of relationships, because it works for them or gives them more space, whatever the reasons are. I had a friend who was polyamorous and was marrying another polyamorous individual, and thus I guess there had an open. I don't really know the intricacies of what their
whatever their setup was.
Their setup was, but I do know that in conversation, rather than explaining to me or trying, because I was curious, explaining to me how it worked and why it worked and things like that, the focus of their point was why monogamy, what I do, is bad and bad for me and right. And so I guess my point is, it doesn't matter where you are on this wonderful spectrum. If you define it by what everyone else should be doing, you're not exploring what you're doing. And that's what I love about this episode. It is so very much about many things, but the relationship piece of it is very much about Odo and Kira's relationship and them exploring it and them defining it. So I think that's beautiful because I found I identified a lot with it. And it's great to see. I think, Molly or at some point, Keiko and O'Brien and Miles kind of dealing with some of their trauma and things was a really cool depiction of marriage as well.
Right.
When she was on the show. So that's awesome. I found a lot to love in that. The changeling of it all, the identity of it all, was really interesting because I really thought they started off really making me think, I will say, for a moment, I thought he was going to go with him. And there was going to be like a mini arc of him going. And first of all, that's great writing, great pacing, and great acting to make me believe that. And I think they make some really uncomfortable points. I think they make some really specific points. I think they hold a lens up to human nature, especially in the 90s, that is ballsy. Just brave and ballsy. Even today, brave and ballsy.
It's some very progressive ideas in this.
Yes, with some not coded.
No.
Right? Not masked
really,
very well.
No, not that well.
They did probably just enough to get past whoever was kicking back from the network or whatnot.
Get past through Berman.
And I think Loss is a great foil because nothing he says is blatantly wrong. I mean, the murder of it all probably could have been considered heavy-handed because it sort of makes him a bad guy all of a sudden, and you're like, but there's enough nuance there that I won't count it as a nit to pick. Because I think I enumerated at the beginning that his own arrogance gets in the way and things, and I thought actually you brought up a great point, Keith, where you were like, and it's kind of like vampires. Odo can have both, right? He can spend his life with Kira until she grows old and is no longer.
Yeah, actually, I didn't say that on air. I said that via text.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Right? It's not really a sacrifice. It's just sort of a postponement.
Totally.
But let me just kind of bring it all home. The thing I like most about the episode is that in a lesser script, in a lesser performance, in a lesser episode, they could have very well made it about us, who Odo wants to be, right? Does he want to stay? Does he want to go? Being revealed to us, right? Like Odo, we find out that he decides to stay with Kira. But I do believe in this episode, the screws are put to him in a way in which he has to decide. And there's a difference, right? It is not like we are, as an audience, going to find out what Odo wants to do. We go on the journey of him making a decision. And that, it's a fine line, but it is distinct and it is so active because René can make that visual to us. We feel emotionally, we see this point, I feel his draw. It makes sense that he want to go look for everybody else. That's where we met him, was in this search. Feels compelling that he would want to go back. And now here's another person showing that we could go on this search. But here's Kira, and is that maybe that is too minimum, maybe it is too less, but then we got to get to see their love and their relationship and why. And then at the end, instead of him just being like, oh, it was Kira, it's always been you. No, I think he sees in that scene in the cave. It's very active. The whole thing felt like a journey we went on. I gotta tell you, man, I freaking loved this episode. Maybe it's just where I am and how I identified with it. I don't know I would have felt the same way when I was 19.
Yeah.
But here in my 40s, this one moved me. It's an A for me, which is 93 Stemboth.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because I think you put your head on it. You put the nail on the head on the nail. You know what it is. That this episode didn't really mean much to me when I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Would have meant more in my 30s, but I think today, being the old fart that I am, and having lived a little bit, having gone through situations like this, where I'm like, oh wow, this is talking about something much deeper and much more interesting than I would have expected. I think it's a very mature episode. I think it's a very heady episode. And I think it is, to me, it's, it's an allegory for a lot of things, but like and even like when it first came out as, as a gay allegory, I would have gotten that, right? But not really the complexities of what that might be in a relationship. It's beyond like I should be allowed to hold hands in public, right? There is more to it because it's all so much more complicated and so much more not black and white. Like you said, like, you start a relationship when you're 20 and like, these are the rules. Blah, 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 and realizing that maturing is realizing that you cannot push back against the tide. You have to, like, happiness is acceptance. Right? And if you really want to be happy, the only way to do that is acceptance. Accepting yourself, accepting other people, accepting the world, accepting the lot in life that you have, and learning to surf on the waves, not try to make the waves be something that it isn't. And
well said.
I think that is what we're learning. This is, and we're watching Kira be accepting that Odo's gotta get on that surfboard and see where it takes him, and accept that she can't control whether he does or doesn't. Yeah. And like, if it works out, that's beautiful and that's great. And if it does work out, you're going to have the reward of a deeper, more meaningful, unmasked relationship, that you're able to expose all the parts of yourself and have them be seen and have them be welcomed, have her dance in your plasma goo, right?
Well, and that those things are movable, right? You aren't going to, I will be different in 10 years. And my hope is that your partner at that point will still be, well, who are you now? Like, you have to, that last moment is continual.
Endlessly. Yeah. And like, you're going to get older. You're going to want different things. You're going to have different abilities. You're not going to be able to do some of the stuff you did when you're 20. You're not going to want to do the stuff you when you're 20. And so there is a very mature, very progressive, radical acceptance in this episode that I really appreciate. René Echevarria, I think, writes the deepest, most mature, emotionally resonant episodes of this show. I think he is a tremendously emotionally grounded and intelligent person. He has to be,
Right.
in order to write this kind of stuff. I would love it if René were my therapist. That's really what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, I'm with you. I gave it a 92. And if I were 30, I'd give it an 85. If I were 20, I'd give it a 71. And who knows?
Yeah, this would be so boring. I mean, it's a lot of
It
talking.
could be so boring.
A lot of talking.
It's just talking. There's not a lot happening other than sort of emotional stakes. When I'm 80, I'm going to probably give it a 250. Who knows?
Yeah.
So in the world, it gets a 7.2, which is 112 out of 173. So like the world does not care for this episode. It's in the bottom half. But I think maybe we just did it because we were a little too young. Maybe we didn't get it. But next week, coming up is Bada Bing, Bada Bing. Bada Bing, Bada Bang.
Oh, I have some guesses.
Yeah, I spoiler alert, I find this one delightful and has some pretty deep resonance that you're
It's
not
got to be a
expecting.
Vic episode, yeah?
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. But anyway, very excited to talk about it. Thank you for putting up with all of our nonsense this week and every week. This was a great way to spend a Friday afternoon. We will see you back here next week with another episode of Key the Mic. Watch TV Fine. We're going to finish Strange New Worlds. That's one of the I promise we're going to do it.
Yeah,
Bye. Thank you for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please
building
like and
anticip-
subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/KNM. Wait for it.
Asian.